Oops, even me.
Oh, it's number 16! Calm, classy, and fiery.
Welcome back to the GCN Racing News Show. This week, the Giro D'Italia is off and running. I'll be looking back at the opening 3 days in Hungary. I'll also talk you through the 4 days of Dunkirk, the women's Vuelta Andalucia, and round up all your other racing-related news too. But first up, the Giro. This is how Stage 1 finished.
It's glorious chaos at the Giro D'Italia. The sprint is launched. Girmay on the right, Ewan on the left, caught through the centre. There goes Mathieu as well. Van der Poel comes around. Van der Poel is there. He hits the front. There's a crash and Ewan's out. It's Mathieu Van der Poel in pink. Van der Poel on debut takes pink.
Mathieu van der Poel started the day as the big favourite and he duly delivered. He averaged 483 watts for the 8 minutes and 15 seconds it took to ascend that final climb, including an average of 720 watts for the last minute of that effort. Now, for reference, he is 75 kilograms on Strava. Day 1 at the Giro for the Dutchman and straight into the pink jersey. Behind him, Girmay impressed with second place, whilst Pello Bilbao picked up 4 bonus seconds by coming third. Caleb Ewan, though, presumably almost cross-eyed with the effort, hit the deck as he hit the wheel of Girmay on the run into the line. It wasn't just Van der Poel who was pretty in pink the following day, though, but also his time trial bike. This is the Canyon that he used for Stage 2. What do you reckon? Hot or not? Let me know in the comment section just down below. He averaged 468 watts for 12 minutes that day, but that was only enough for second place behind Simon Yates. Who could have predicted Yates would win a time trial? Sean Kelly, that's who. Turns out that the King knows a thing or two about bike racing. The Team Bike Exchange rider dealt an early blow to his GC rivals, putting time into all of them. It's his second pro victory against the clock, and he put a lot into it, apparently using a Vortex skin suit that cost €2,750. It put him into second place on the general classification going into day 3, the first day for the sprinters. Not a lot happened for most of that stage, but always forgotten as we got a high-octane sprint finish.
And there goes Michael Mirko. Mirko knows that, trying to lynch the sprint now for Mark Cavendish. Nizzolo's trying to follow on the wheel. Demar is there. Cavendish now launches. Cavendish going. Cavendish in front. On the right as we look at it, it's Gaviria. On the right, Gaviria, but Cavendish is still in front. Cavendish is going. Bauhaus is coming to the left. The line won't get there. Cavendish still there. Cavendish still there. Oh, it's number 16.
That was some sprint. Mark Cavendish covered the final 340 metres in just 17 seconds, averaging 72.1 kilometres per hour and over 1,000 watts in that time. Now, it looked like he'd gone up a little bit too early, but nobody was able to come around him before the finish line. Here's what he had to say after that.
Obviously, I wanted this group of boys here. We work really well together, and they're here and they were incredible. Davide Ballerini did 15 kilometres alone in the win there in the final, then got us into the last round. I was supposed to, he's man of the day for me. And then the pairing of Bert van Leeuwenberg and Michael Morkov, will always get me to the front first, and they did that. The other teams were coming, so I had to jump early, 300 metres to go. I'm very happy with that win.
That was Cav's first victory at the Giro D'Italia since he last competed at the race 9 years ago. It brings his tally of Giro D'Italia wins to 16, his tally of Grand Tour stage wins to 53. Only Eddie Merckx and Mario Cipollini are ahead of him. For Quick-Step, well, it was their first win at the Giro D'Italia in 4 years. Max Schachmann was the last back in 2018, winning atop Prato Nervoso. So as we go into the first rest day, this is how things look on the general classification. Van der Poel leading by 11 seconds from Simon Yates, with Dumoulin a further 5 seconds back in third. This is how the GC favourites stack up though. Yates in pole position as the race heads to Italy. There's still a long way to go, but there are already some fairly significant time gaps amongst the GC riders, with Emmanuel Buchmann and Ivan Ramirez Sosa the biggest losers from the opening 3 days of the race. Mathieu van der Poel also leads the points classification ahead of Biniam Girmay. Sobrero leads the best young rider competition by just fractions of a second from Ben Tulit. And Rick Zabel leads the KOM, which is quite an interesting story in itself. He and Pascal Encorn both rode steady over the time trial until the foot of the final climb, which they blitzed up. And they were at it again yesterday, with Encorn getting the better of Zabel on the KOM. But it's Zabel who leads that competition by virtue of the fact that he's better placed on the general classification. But you do wonder how much energy that took out of him when the team's main goal for the day was to give Giacomo Nizzolo the best possible lead out to the line. Robbie McEwen said he would not have been happy to see one of his teammates and lead-out riders doing something like that ahead of a sprint finish. Now, one rider who unfortunately won't be making the trip from Hungary to Italy is Jan Tratnik. The Bahrain victorious rider was involved in a crash late on the opening stage, and whilst he did manage to get himself through the time trial, the pain in his wrist was too much for him on stage 3, and so he pulled out. A real shame for the race, particularly as it ventures into Slovenia in the final week. Now, for those of you who are wondering how the whole race gets itself from Hungary down to Sicily, the answer is that the riders were on chartered planes first thing this morning, with the majority of their equipment staying with them. For most teams, separate vehicles had already been taken to Sicily, whilst the buses, trucks and team cars will mainly remain in Hungary for the Tour of Hungary, which starts this Wednesday. 13 teams from the Giro also competing at that race. Jumbo-Visma and Ineos Grenadiers were amongst teams who decided to send their team cars to Italy on the back of a truck, which was both cheaper and less time-consuming than driving them all down from their service courses in Northern Europe. Now, just before I finish with the Giro D'Italia for this week, I wanted to mention our hashtag, Giro Memories, on the GCN app. We're basically asking you to share your favourite memories from the race over the last few years. This is my one, the 2010 Giro D'Italia and the final stage in the Netherlands that year, whilst I was looking after Carlos Sastre. I'm going to move on now, though, to the 4 days of Dunkirk, which has been 6 days long for as long as I can remember. Day 1 was marred by a nasty crash in the final few metres to the line.
Wait for the road to open up, and Sam Welsford looks like in a happy place. He's going centre of the road. Number 3 here, Oil Delight's coming through. Is he going to get it? Oh, he's down! He's down! Too much shoulderage right at the end. Not a happy thing at all. Sam Welsford takes it.
Sam Welsford of Team DSM was deemed to have blocked Arnaud Delis with his elbow in that instant, and so was relegated, which gave the win to Arvid de Klein of Human-Powered Health. The uphill finish of Stage 2 saw Jason Tesson of San Michel Ober 93 take what was arguably the biggest win of his career so far, but Stage 3 saw a veteran back to his winning ways.
A big look-see by Boudard for the go in the pink, and here is Philippe Gilbert. It's going to be a podium at best, is it for him? Comes up and over the top, and Phil Gill goes for it. Fantastic quality will out, and Philippe Gilbert is going to show the youngsters how this is done. And look at the leader here, Tresson, coming through for some minor seconds here. A brave race for him, but Gilbert is going to take the day and does so.
That marked the 79th career win for Philippe Gilbert, and his first since the stage of the Vuelta back in 2019. Lionel Taminal of Alpecin Fenix got to celebrate at the finish of Stage 4, and the team backed that up the following day with Gianni Vermeersch getting the better of Oliver Naesen and Jake Stewart. Those two entered the final day just a handful of seconds behind Gilbert on GC, but despite a tough attacking race, that's exactly how it remained. 23-year-old Gerben Tayson of Intermarché Wanty-Gobert took his maiden pro victory ahead of Hugo Hofstetter on the day, but Gilbert held on to take his first GC victory since the 3 days of De Panne in 2017. Time now for me to let you know what's coming up on GCN Plus this week. The Giro resumes in Sicily tomorrow for Stage 4, which is the first big summit finish of the race, finishing at the top of Mount Etna. We will be live with the breakaway from 11 a.m. BST, but if the Giro has left you hungry for more, sorry about that, we have got you covered because the Tour of Hungary starts on Wednesday and there are some big names competing there. Groenewegen and Jakobsen are the star attractions in the sprint, and you'll be able to watch them do battle on GCN Plus if you're in Europe, the US or the Asia Pacific, excluding China, Japan and New Zealand. We also have the Classica Femenina de Navarra on Wednesday. It's Zulia Women from Friday through to Sunday. The men's and women's Grand Prix de Morbihan on Saturday and Trobro Leon on Sunday, all of which are available in all GCN Plus territories. Beyond the live racing, we have got the world of cycling coming out for you on the rest days during the Giro D'Italia. Today's guests are Robbie McEwen and Sean Kelly, so make sure you check that out if you are a subscriber to GCN Plus. Moving on, and it was the Vuelta Andalucia last week, which was the perfect race for Team Movistar, who had a clean sweep of all 3 stages and the general classification. Days 1 and 2 were won by Elena Sierra of Cuba, who has for a long time been a great rider, but she just seems to have stepped things up a notch this season. She outsprinted Mavi Garcia on day 1 and emerged triumphant from a 6-woman group the following day. Her teammate, Jelena Eric, took what was her second win outside of the Serbian National Championships on the 3rd and final day, with Sierra doing more than enough in 2nd place to wrap up the general classification. We also saw back-to-back wins for Marta Bastianelli on the opening 2 days of the Bretagne Ladies Tour, but she lost her overall lead on the day 3 individual time trial to Vittoria Guazzini, who held onto the leader's jersey through to the end of the race. In other news, rumours circulated last week that RCS Sport are looking to work more closely with the organisers of the Giro D'Italia, which is currently a completely separate entity. They're also planning to bring back a women's Milano-San Remo next year for the first time since 2005. Now, I know not everybody agrees with me on this, but I think adding a further women's monument would be a very good thing for women's cycling. And finally, Shirin van Anrooy has extended her contract with Trek Segafredo until the end of 2025. That is all for this week's Racing News Show. Don't forget to tune into the world of cycling today to get the thoughts of Robbie and Sean. I'll see you again though tomorrow when the Giro resumes in Sicily. Goodbye for now.